Hey, how's it going everyone? Craig here from Soundiron, and in this video I'm going to be taking you through the sounds and features within our newly updated drip. This sample library is a collection of over 600 glitchy percussive samples with effects, stingers, awesome atmospheric pads, drones, and leads, and much more. So for this update, it's built for the full version of Kontakt, but we've also built it for the free Decent Sampler, as well as SFZ format. So let's go ahead and dive in and start exploring this cool library. All right, so that's just a few of the all drip kits. This one has all of the kits laid out for you, so it's really cool. You can just kind of explore the keyboard, find sounds that you like, and then play around with it. So there's the all drum kits, and then we also have the all resin kits. Let's have a listen to these. So just a bunch of really cool sounds, glitchy, sharp, razory, percussion. There's also some really cool stuff in here. So these are the kits. We have them all separated here by the different sources too. There's cymbals, effects, so we can check out some of the effects. We also have these inverted sounds. These are really cool. There's different ones. So when you click inverted, you'll see that there's a drop down with other types of samples. So these are the inverted bass. Kind of futuristic little quick risers. So these are the bass. Then we have some inverted snares. And these are cool for doing little transitions or anything where you want to have a little bit more excitement leading into a part. And then we have some inverted cymbals. And then we have some inverted effects. And these types of samples are fantastic for doing any kind of sci-fi sound design for games and mobile apps, or just creating interesting user interface sounds. So let's check out some more of these. These are the inverted effects too. And then we also have some reverted sounds. Those are the bass. Now let's listen to the snare. And then we have some cymbals. And these types of samples are cool because you can create drum grooves with stuff that sounds like drums, but they're manipulated in a way to where it has a very distinct sound, but it can create unique grooves, especially if you're doing any kind of electronic music, EDM, IDM, or glitch wave, or any types of electronic sounds where you just want some cool grooves. And something that I like to do is using the arpeggiator. So you can just turn on the arpeggiator and just kind of create quick little grooves, or you can just program it in like you normally would. Let's have a listen to some of the reverted effects. It's really cool glitchy risers. And then something you can also do too is you can learn this key and you can stretch it across the key range. So if you like that sound, then you can play it anywhere on the keyboard. So that's a feature that I really like to use, especially when just wanting to take a sample and just play it super low without having to pitch anything. And then we have some more reverted effects. So if you wanted to take this one and learn it across the key range, play it a little bit lower. And then something I like to do too is head over to the effects rack, and then there's some effects you could play around with. So if we want to turn on a reverb, and then we could even bring in a delay. This is one of my favorite ones. Turn on ping pong so you get some stereo effects. You can turn on sync if you want to sync it to your DAW. Then you have some different modes. Let's try vintage. And then there's even some other effects. So if you want to take this sound and maybe give it a little bit of distortion, you could do that. Or let's see what else we have. There's screamer, tape saturator. Let's see. Let's try. And then we got lo-fi. We can try that. So a bunch of cool effects that you can play around with in here to take the sound and manipulate it even further. And then we have some other sounds. These are called Harmon dozers. Let's check these out. There's a speed slider right here, so you can speed up the sample a little bit. And then we also have this space tab up here. This is really cool because you have a quick access to some different reverbs. So this can be a hall or a room. I like the hall sound, and then you can position this anywhere on the sound stage, or you can just control click it and have it dead center. For each layer, there's 4 layers in this update. So now you can have different layers with maybe an ambience and a couple different sounds. So you can really have a bunch of stuff going on with just one instance of the library. That's what I really love about the 4-layer system. So yeah, there's a reverb here. So let's check that out. You can increase the time. And then we have these stretcher sounds. If you want to hear this without the reverb. Sounds like a nice little warm kick drum sound. Maybe with the reverb. Let's check out a couple more. And then we also have 15 sound design atmospheric pads, drones, and leads for you to use. So these are a really cool complement to the library. So let's have a listen to some of these. And then this one's a little bit less dark. I love how subtle some of these are, where it just really sets a mood, but they evolve over time. But just like, you know, some of them just have a little bit more just subtlety to them, which I really like, especially if you're doing any kind of scoring and you just want something that has a mood without being too much, especially getting in the way of dialogue and things like that. Something I want to show you guys, there's this really cool feature if you're not aware of it. This is the Xfade right here. And what this allows you to do is it allows you to blend between layers. So I really like this ambience, and what I'm thinking is it'd be cool to have something that has like a peaceful sound, like a peaceful ambience, and then be able to swell in something that's got a little bit more of that lower end tone, kind of like the one that I just played. So let's head over to layer 2. I'm going to turn this on. Let's go to the ambiences. Which one was this? So this was ambience 13. I think it was ambience 12. Let's see how this sounds. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this to layer B. And then you can also play around with the volume if you want it a little bit louder. So with the layer system and the Xfade, A and B is going to be pretty much your bottom layer and your top layer. So you can layer stuff together, you can have a crossfade. So what I'm thinking with this is I want to keep the first more higher sound of the ambience always playing, and then just fade in that more lower tone one. So at the very bottom, you'll get this sound. But then we can bring in that other ambience. And then some other things you can do if you want to load up another layer, we can head over to the subsynth staccatos, and we can have sine right here. So we got that. And then we can pitch this down. And then we can head up here to our options. We can turn on the arpeggiator. So get a little bit of a pulse going. We can slow it down a little bit. And then what we can do is we can set this to layer B as well, so that way we can fade in that pulse. So let's check that out. So it just goes to show how quickly you can set some stuff up to get some interesting sounds just using a few different layers and the Xfade, just to be able to blend and add a little bit more movement to your piece. All right, so going back to some of the other samples in this library, I want to show you some of the drip effects. These are really cool. And then if you click this drop down, you'll see that you have a bunch of different ones. So let's check out these. Let's have a listen to these. These are the Resin effects. And just showing you, just kind of turning on the arpeggiator and just playing random keys. We'll see what kind of interesting grooves we can get. And then you also have some presets for the arpeggiator. Let's try this one. Let's have a listen to these. So for this new update of Drip, we also created 20 custom effects presets using all of these new features within this update. And these are just really cool presets that you can just use to get going and get inspired. So let's play through some of these. This one's called Absolutely Dialed. And all of these presets can be manipulated and changed and modified. So if there's something about a preset that you like or something you want to tweak, you can easily tweak it and resave it. So it's really, really cool to be able to do that. This one's called Blend In Beat MW, and MW means mod wheel. So just play around with your mod wheel while you're using some of these presets. So you can see with this one, with the mod wheel, it's stretching the sample and speeding it up a little bit. So when you're all the way up, it's going to play a little bit quicker. And then all the way back, it's going to play the full sample. This is a really cool one, especially if you're doing anything that requires a little bit more of a low-end pulsey kind of thing. be really useful for creating a little bit of tension in something without being too overbearing. All right, so now I want to play for you some of the effects presets that come within the free Decent Sampler version, so let's check out some of these. And what I like about some of these presets is that you can just kind of keyboard mash and just find a bunch of interesting grooves. All right, so that about wraps up this walkthrough for our newly updated drip. If you want to learn more about this library and get it on sale, you can head over to soundiron.com, or you can click the link in the description. Thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to our YouTube channel to stay up to date on everything we got going on, because we want to keep you in the loop. So until the next one, have a good one, and we will see you soon. Bye.